もう間もなくスレスタートの時間になります。まだ会場にお入りでない方、お戻りでない方、早めに部屋の方にお戻りください。40分から再開をしたいと思います。それでは皆様再開したいと思いますが、古民家の見学はいかがだったでしょうか。私もちょっと1、2部屋を回っていましたが、絵手紙ですごく上手に描いてらっしゃる方ありましたし、それから銭太鼓も練習をされて楽しそうにできていたのかなと思って、いい体験をしていただけたかと嬉しく思いました。それでは続いて、分科会の討議に入ってまいりたいと思います。じゃあファシリテーターのお二人、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you. I think well the time back. Let's have a last presentation. We'll invite the Jenny and Lina, and we'll talk about the living sustainably on Kangaroo Island, a journey of community learning center, and the I think on how you look at the whole ecosystem in a community learning center. That is their approach, and let's see what they are going to detail out their learning centers experiences. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, as we're co-presenting, is it okay if we do not use the microphone, or do we have to use the microphone? Because we're going to attend the two microphones. Yes.
違えた。これ取っとるからな。あ、これ入っとるから。
Okay, Thank you very much for the very warm welcome that you gave us when we arrived. Jenny Teasdale here was in tears. She was so happy to see the warm welcome, so thank you very much. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Eula Lay. I'm a teacher and curriculum coordinator on Kangaroo Island at Kangaroo Island Community Education, which has 3 campuses on Kangaroo Island.
And I'm Jenny Teasdale. You can tell from the picture which is me. My husband and I have been involved with UNESCO since 1988. We have had the privilege of running conferences, presenting papers, being a scribe, taking keynote addresses, and working in that capacity. When this new millennium began, we said, enough talking, enough theory, let's have some action. And this presentation is our ESD story.
So in this presentation, we'd like to welcome you to Kangaroo Island, and we'll teach you a bit about Kangaroo Island, particularly the Teasdale's place. But we'd also like to find out a bit more about you. So, as you can see on your desk, Endo has put some cards on your desk. They're green on one side and red on the other side. So, can you just hold up your cards that you've got them? Show me that you've got them. Okay, we're going to start with an easy question. So, green means yes, and red means no. The first question is, have you ever been to Australia? So, green if you have.
Oh, there's quite a few green people. Excellent.
And if anyone's been to Kangaroo Island?
Oh, wow, 4 people.
No, nobody's been to Kangaroo Island.
Nobody. Can't see whether it's green or red down the front there. Well, we'll introduce you to Kangaroo Island.
Did you learn about sustainability at school?
Some.
So most of you, when you were at school, you didn't learn about sustainability, so it wasn't part of your schooling. Do you think you live a sustainable lifestyle?
Hold up your card if you think you do live a sustainable lifestyle.
I like this one, a half.
Too many reds in this room.
Do you feel that you can make a difference to local sustainability?
That's good that more and more hands are creeping up.
Do you feel like you can make a difference to global sustainability?
Good. I'm glad there are some confident people who believe their efforts will.
And the last question is, where are you from? If you're from Okayama, or the Okayama Prefecture, green, and if you're from outside the prefecture, just show us a red.
More greens than reds.
Thank you. That information is helpful for us to think about how we're presenting to you.
Just where is Kangaroo Island?
So as you can see, Kangaroo Island is at the bottom of Australia. It's in South Australia, which is the state. This is the shape of Kangaroo Island. It's about 150 kilometres across, and it's a distance from the mainland by a 45-minute ferry trip or a 20-minute plane ride.
And it's Australia's 3rd largest island, and it boasts an area of 4,000 square kilometres, and we have a population of just 4,000. And you know what that means? We have a square kilometre each to live in.
As you can see from the star, there's a location of Pelican Lagoon. Pelican Lagoon is where Jenny Teasdale's house is.
And here is where I live. This is my husband and my house in that beautiful setting. We have approximately 133 hectares, and we live on the shores of this magnificent tidal lagoon. We are not a formal CLC institution. We are simply two committed people living in a home, but inviting people, groups, to come and share the ESD story. So we are endeavouring to live sustainably in this property.
So there are 4 key ideas that underpin the work that Jenny and Bob do at their home, and they're based on these 4 concepts: learning to know, learning to do, learning to be, and learning to live together.
And if we take that a little further from yesterday's keynote presentation, you may recall the new nomenclature. Utilising these pillars, we can transform. And that is what we're trying to do. Let's look at learning to know.
So learning to know is about developing knowledge about where you live and sustainable practices in the place where you live. So all these photos are taken at Jenny's house. This is a student looking at some solar panel batteries that operate Jenny's house, and some students exploring their natural environment, collecting things from the tidal lagoon to use in their scientific explanations later on.
Learning to do is the next pillar that we explore. Now here we have a young lad. Is he being schooled by my husband? Tell you the truth, that boy's teaching my husband how to saw. Intergenerational learning. We have the capacity to do sailing on the lagoon, and here is a lad who lives over the way, and he has sailed over in his boat.
Large parts of Kangaroo Island are marine protected zones and also national parks, so that's why we can go out and explore these things. It's a very unique environment.
And here are children who are visiting the school, visiting from the local school, and they're getting a hole prepared to plant a tree because this has been the forests have been removed, so we have to revegetate. Let's move on to learning to live, learning to be. Now, it's a very beautiful place, it's a very tranquil place, and it's a place where you can just be still, you can discover who you are. There's a time for spiritual exploration, engaging with nature, discovering your meaning in life, and as it was said yesterday, we can locate ourselves in the universe. And finally, learning to live together.
So this is a group of artists that have come to visit Jenny's house. And Jenny's place is a meeting place for conversation, for getting together, and learning from each other as well. So here's a few other groups. One of the school groups we've brought there. Over 800 school children have visited Jenny's house. They do different activities there. And here are some of the Indigenous football players that have come from around Australia. They play on an exchange program on Kangaroo Island, and they've come to visit Jenny and Bob's house.
And over the last decade, we've had well over 2,000 visitors who've engaged with ESD at our place. Now, with every visiting group or individual, sustainability is the focus.
We've got lots of unique biodiversity on Kangaroo Island, and some of the ways we try to get the students to engage with this is through art and through storytelling and through their English lessons. So when they create artworks, we like them to explain the scientific purposes behind them, and these are all unique animals to Kangaroo Island. In particular, the yakka is significant to Kangaroo Island, and this is on the school emblem you might have noticed on our poster. The yakka is a grass tree, and after bushfires or natural disasters like that, they still regrow and they still continue. So it's like a sustainable, it's a very strong tree. The school motto, our school KAIS vision, so KAIS is Kangaroo Island Community Education. Our vision that underpins all the things that we do at the school is actually developing and sustaining a community where everyone learns and grows. So sustainability is a huge part of the Australian curriculum, but also the community curriculum as well.
So that's about connecting with diversity. But we wouldn't exist unless we connected with the island's stakeholders or connected with the wider community. And this is just some of the groups with whom we've connected.
Jenny and Bob also connect other groups together, so people that wouldn't normally work together can choose to work together. For example, tourists might access different artists through Jenny and Bob's place because they open up their own home as an art gallery sometimes and an exhibition space. They hold lots of functions there, and it's a really peaceful and natural place for people to engage with the environment and different organisations.
And the interesting thing is that we not only have workshops, but we have festivals, conferences, publications, retreats and events of various sorts at our place. Let's look on. So we connected with stakeholders, we connected with biodiversity, and here we're connecting with the environment. The far corner, you can see that we draw energy from the sun. Here, we harvest the rainwater. We are not in any way connected to water or power. Our house is built in such a way it works with the climate. It's warm in winter because it gets the sun. In summer, the sun is high, it's cooler. So it's built in such a way that it works with the climate, and we try and produce some of our organic food in the garden and orchard.
The stories that we've read about Fujita are also resonating with us because you also used to collect your own water. That was how you used to collect your water. And a lot of the farming practices around here. On Kangaroo Island that was the same, and people are so isolated that they still continue these practices now because they have to. They don't have any other choice. There is no other power sources. So when I listen to Dill's presentation and he's talking about solar power being essential, for Jenny too, she wouldn't have any power if she didn't have solar power, and she wouldn't have any water if she didn't have rainwater tanks. Okay, and now we've got some audience participation again. We have a couple of questions that we'd like you to talk to your neighbour about, so if you have a group of 3 at a table or if just a partner. So the questions are, if you could travel to Kangaroo Island and visit Teasdale's place, what would you like to do there, or what would you like to experience there? Have a talk to the person next to you for 1 minute. What would you like to experience there? What would you do there? Can I have your attention back to the front? The next question we'd like you to talk about with your partner is, we all have something to share and we all do sustainable practices in our own homes. I've been to Japanese homes before and I've been so impressed with the sustainable practices that I see there. How could you share your own home-based sustainability practices with other people? Jenny does it on a large scale. I don't do what Jenny does. But how could you share your home-based sustainability practice with someone else? Have a think, talk to your person next to you.
It is a hard question, isn't it? Are you going to sit and do nothing, or is there some little way that you can share your passion?
小学校何年生？
Okay, can we pay attention to the front again? Thank you.
You're a very good class. One of the things we try to do is engage with different groups. We've spelled that out, and we want to just share very briefly 3 projects. Many of you will know Dr. Yoshi Nagata from Sacred Heart University in Tokyo. We have very close collegial relationship with him, and he has brought several groups on environmental study tours to Kangaroo Island. In here we see Japanese community educators coming to our place. Here we have them at the local school with the local principal, and here's my husband carrying on, talking, exchanging ideas on sustainability inside our house. So that's a very exciting project, and that's the sort of things they do when they come to us, the sort of methodologies we use.
Jenny and Bob are very welcoming, and we do have our email addresses on the bottom of this poster here. So if anyone is interested in the future in connecting with us in any way, please have a look at these email addresses, and you can connect with us that way if you'd like to come and visit in the future. The next project is the books that we've been passing around. The school community wanted to record some of their biodiversity and analyse it in a more scientific way and also in a more creative way. So school students from the 3 campuses were asked to create an artwork around a natural wild thing on Kangaroo Island. And the best of these we took together and we put them into these books that were produced. We also had a large art exhibition showcasing these as well.
And if you want to buy them, they're for sale. And if there's not enough to go around, we'll take orders and send them to you. Another project we got off the ground on the island was to work with the local writers group. And we arranged a children's writing, not so much a competition, but to get every child writing. And this is a delightful book, which is full of stories written by children from age 4 or 5 to age 15. And what they're doing is reflecting on living on Kangaroo Island. And I'm going to ask Eula to read a story from one of the children.
I want to plant little native forests on Kangaroo Island. Why? Because trees make our air cleaner. By Ollie Dawes, age 7. So some of the stories are quite long, and that's just a short, it's almost like a poem. But these kids need to learn how to connect with their environment and not just accept it as always there, but how do they actually connect with it?
We are very privileged on the island to have many local experts and many international and national experts visit the island. It's a very popular place to come to. So we use these people, we celebrate their expertise. Now here we have Dr. Peggy Rissmiller, who's the world authority on echidnas and has almost as much knowledge about tiger snakes and goannas. And so she often comes to our place to run seminars or information sessions about her zoological understandings of the creatures on Kangaroo Island.
So Jenny and Bob used to live in a big city, in Adelaide. So the Adelaide is bigger than Okoyama. They made a decision as a couple, after their children had grown up, to move to Kangaroo Island. And so we'll just let Jenny tell her story a little bit more.
About a week ago, I sat down with my husband and we went through this presentation. I said, let's talk together about why we've done this, why we've given up many things elsewhere, why we've come to this island, why are we doing it? And to honour him and his contribution, if you will allow me, I would like to read these words as if he were here. It was an evolutionary journey, a process, a journey of learning. It began with a desire to live more sustainably, to live out our ESD connections. The vision slowly evolved when we found land on Kangaroo Island, beautiful land that needed to be restored and nurtured. We drew on our life's experiences. It's become a journey of lifelong learning. We're still learning. Many people have helped us on the way. We've learned a lot from our mistakes, and we've made many of them, but we've learned from them. Our vision is still evolving and changing. Every time visitors come, there's a process of two-way learning. And for us, Bob and I, there is the delight of being involved in lifelong learning. Thank you for that.
It's really important, I think, that we do recognise that Jenny and I live in Australia. We're very privileged in our lifestyle that we have, and we keep talking about with privilege comes great responsibility, and the responsibility for us, for Jenny and myself, as educators and as people that are passionate about sustainability, is to share the sustainability message. And we could sit back in our own homes and say, you know, we live in this great sustainable home, that's fine, but Jenny's gone that step further and opened up her home to whoever would like to come and learn about sustainability. So she lives at this place all the time, but people are always welcome. So in this final section, we'd like you to reflect back on the presentation and particularly about your own lives and the way you live sustainably in your own lives. So on the pieces of paper that we asked you to hold up earlier, the green and red card, on the green side, we'd like you to answer this question. What has inspired you about the story of Teasdale's Place? So on the green side, what has inspired you about the story? You don't need to put your names on it, and we'll ask you to put them up the front in the end. On the red side, we'd like you to answer a different question. We can all make positive changes for the future. What will you change about your own life as a result of the involvement in these 4 great breakout sessions this morning? I know there's things that I've learned from the other presenters that I'll now go back and think about as an educator at a school. It was really interesting to hear the way that people work with children. So that's something that I will go back and change. But what will you commit to changing as a result of seeing these 4 presentations? So write that on the red side.
So the green becomes feedback for us, and the red becomes a challenge for you and the whole conference.